Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. It is Sunday, and so it's time for another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. How are you, Fruit Loop?
I'm good.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl Sunday. And we got snow, which is really cool.
Crazy snow. So in South Carolina, snow is a treat. We usually get a little bit every year, but nothing consistent. So last night they were sort of calling for a little bit that literally within an hour. I was across town, scared to death trying to get home. We just aren't used to snow. Thank God I have a Jeep.
Yeah, we get more, and I lived up north, so I used to get made fun of all the time. Y'all can't drive in the snow. It's not that. We get more ice here than snow, so
yeah,
it's hard to drive on ice.
I'm going to tell you right now, though, last night there was no ice, and people still couldn't drive.
Yeah.
There were people in ditches all over the place, people sliding backwards towards my Jeep, and we made it home okay, but it literally was like within a few hours, we went from nothing to, I think, 3 inches.
Yeah. Yep.
Which may as well be 3 feet.
I got home before it was snowing on me as I was driving home, but I got in before it started piling up. So.
Oh, yeah. I had to drive a kid from a study group that my daughter went to home, which was like 20 minutes away in the opposite direction from my house. And so.
Those roads are bad anyways.
Oh, I was on back roads.
I hate those roads.
My knuckles are still white from the grip.
Yep.
So we're going to keep going with talking about Letecia Stauch. Did we say that right? I've heard heard 5 pronunciations of that name. And so where we left off on the last episode was that we got up to the point to where they found Gannon's body, which was shortly after she was arrested.
Yep.
So we started looking back a little bit at some of her past things when she was still in Myrtle Beach, which is close to us. And so Horry County is the county that Myrtle Beach is in. So when we say Horry County, that's the school district that she was working in at the time. And she was released from her contract, which I'm going to put this out there. South Carolina's education system is not of the highest standard. We are one of the last in the country for everything, although we have amazing teachers in South Carolina. We've both worked in education, but we have both seen where sometimes the higher ups don't necessarily do what's best. So I was interested to read all this and see what had happened, but apparently she went for 5 days of professional development at the beginning of the year. And we know what that's like.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It is the worst. It's like if there is a way to torture me personally, put me in service for 5 days before the first day of school.
Yeah.
I don't
Not
miss it.
fun.
Yeah. So she went to the first 5 days where you're sort of getting your game plan for the year. And then she went for 2 days of instruction, but she didn't return. And she didn't resign. So what they did was they had tried to get in touch with her by phone call several times. And then she finally responded to an email that was sent by the director of human resources. And her excuse for not returning was saying that she experienced harassment and retaliation after requesting to be released from the contract for a military move.
Yeah.
I mean, and then she goes on to blame, in a roundabout way, she blames Landon, who is Gannon's biological mom, because she was the niece of the superintendent for the school district. And so she was sort of alluding to the fact that Landon made all of this bad for her, which there was never any proof of that.
Yeah. It seems, I mean, we see this over and over again, making excuses you know.
We talked about this right before we went on, which is if you kind of look at all these women killers, they all play victim. It's every single thing that's happened to them is never their fault.
Yep.
It's an interesting psychological study. If somebody were to see how many women that have murdered just play the blame game, narcissistic projection, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the district says that Letecia didn't ask for the transfer until after the email was sent when she stopped showing up for work. And so the state found out she had breached her contract.
Yeah, I mean, a contract in the school system's it's a pretty big deal. But you can't just like not show up.
No, that's chaos for everybody at the school.
Yeah.
But the other thing that sort of raised my attention was that they said she was contracted to teach in Charleston, which is about an hour and a half away from Myrtle Beach, at the same time for the same year. So I thought that was a little weird.
Yeah, why would you do that unless she was just planning already to walk out and leave and not stay there?
I don't know. I mean,
but that follows you. Like, that follows you around on your record.
Well, obviously not too much because she was able to get employment in Colorado.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't put that down there. I don't know.
You never know.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting that, I mean, it's not common that teachers show up for in-service and then just quit.
Yeah.
A couple days after the school year. But this was pretty early, I guess, in the marriage, maybe right when they were married. They were married in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if this is kind of the time where, I don't know about bases in Charleston. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if there's a National Guard base in Charleston. I'm trying to figure out the Charleston connection. So if anybody knows why she might have had a dual job in Charleston, let us know. Because
I mean, you can't have a dual job as a teacher.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Why did she accept a job in two districts for the same school year? It makes no sense.
Yeah, unless she was just planning on not staying there.
Maybe like a backup.
And she was, covering. Mm-hmm. But it seems like she would have needed to be, unless he was getting transferred there, maybe.
I don't know. I mean, Charleston has ports and everything, but it's mainly like Navy stuff, right? I don't know.
Oh, they got that big Navy ship there.
Well, you got Parris Island, but that's Marine Corps.
Yeah.
So who knows? We're still trying to get a grip on this case. It's been really hard to kind of separate fact from fiction.
There's so much that's just like, oh, this is possibly this, or
right.
Like, it's hard to tell what's real and what's not.
And we really don't want to put speculation on the podcast because it's just not who we are. There's enough of that out there. So we try to go heavily on facts, but it's been really hard trying to sort out what is absolute fact and what is just really big speculation. So just bear with us on this case. I feel very lost. I don't know about you, Fruit Loop, but I'm
not lost.
Okay,
I'm not lost.
I'm so lost, and I think it's just my brain today.
Yeah, you have 3 kids. I don't.
Yeah, but see, I don't have that excuse because my kids haven't been home for like 2 hours. So we'll just say I'm having a Sunday, y'all.
Yeah.
My brain's on vacation.
It's Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay, so we were talking about the arrest affidavit that was leaked by an employee.
That's just crazy.
That I don't know what that person was thinking, because Alan Landon had not seen this arrest affidavit until it was leaked online.
Wow.
Can you imagine your child's been murdered and then you read the horrible details because some city employee leaked it for everybody to read?
Yeah. We talked, I mean, I wonder if there was like money exchanged or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but ultimately, she was ordered to pay a $100 fine and pay the $199 in court costs.
That's just a slap on the wrist.
That is a slap on the wrist. So then we were looking around and we just watched this video of where Letecia is on a Zoom meeting with her attorneys, and she's trying to act like she's not all there.
Okay. I'll tell you what I said when I first saw it. And I can't remember the name of that movie. But it was like that movie with
Nell. It was
Nell.
with Jodie Foster.
Yeah, Jodie Foster. Where she's been in the woods for like, I don't know, 30 years or something. I don't know. And she's like, chickapay, like
yeah, I mean,
twirling around. Like,
yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Just this crazy thing. Totally an act, I'm sure.
Yeah, because that was before, right?
That was before she was deemed competent, which just happened recently. She was just found competent to stand trial
for the second time, correct?
Yeah. I don't know if it was like one I think you have to have two independent doctors make that determination. So I don't know if when they said the second time she was deemed competent, I don't know if that meant like one doctor said she was, and then the second one confirmed, or if she had two separate evaluations. So we'll have to look into that. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting that prior to marrying Al, she had a sugar baby profile on a website.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, looking for a sugar daddy.
That'll go along with those questions she was throwing out on Google search.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, looking for somebody to pay her to watch kids, or
That's what that was one of her Google searches.
yeah.
So, I'm sorry, but when I see a woman that has a sugar baby profile, it just screams to me money hungry. I mean, if you're going to be a sugar baby, you're willing to do things for money.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of a little insight into her personality or what she's willing to do to get what she wants. Who knows? But what I thought was interesting is in 2001, she was in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah. And these are crazy.
So February 9th, 2001, she makes a bomb threat. This is before 9/11. So this is like right before. I thought if she had done this after 9/11, I think she'd have gotten in a lot more trouble.
Oh, yeah.
So February 9th, 2001, she makes a bomb threat. April 11th, 2001, she's charged with assault and serious bodily injury. I couldn't find any details on who that was against. And then August 16th, 2001, she was arrested for felony larceny for stealing a car. And we talked about it on the last episode. And then I think, how is she able to teach in South Carolina with that kind of a record?
Yeah, that's, I don't know either.
Who knows? I wouldn't think that anybody who did any one of those three things should be teaching children.
Yeah.
So just some random thoughts. I mean, I think that the jurors are going to, if this goes to trial, she could plead guilty. These jurors are going to eat up her actions while Gannon was missing. I was thinking about that last night.
Yeah.
Because if you think of like Scott Peterson or Jodi Arias, how they, in their interviews, they were, you got Jodi Arias doing like headstands and Scott Peterson just very nonchalant. And so those kind of actions come back to haunt these defendants in trials when you just see a disregard for the gravity of these situations.
Yep.
She's got an uphill battle.
Most definitely.
As she should. I mean, we don't know the ins and outs. We're not able, and I don't think it's been released, a cause of death, but they were able to determine it was violent. They're saying it could have been a blunt object, could have been a sharp object, could have been a gunshot. And we don't know, as far as we know right now, I don't think they've released exactly how they think he died.
Nope.
So, couple of other things I found today. In the early days of jail, she told other inmates she was being set up, which probably is about 98% of the prison population.
Yeah.
They're set up and they're innocent.
Yes.
And she talked to reporters from jail, which is disastrous for any defendant.
Yeah, I don't know. It's better just to hush.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of times when you get these women who think that they outsmart law enforcement and the general public, when they do these interviews, they think that they're solidifying their innocence to everybody that's watching and listening. And what they don't realize is they're so confident in their bull that it's so obvious they're involved. I mean, it's the same with Jodi Arias. I mean, everybody who watched her do Inside Edition from jail was like, oh gosh, she's so guilty. Just hush.
Yeah, it's like the reason she didn't want her face on the one interview she did where she had her back to the camera. Your actions and your eye movement and all kind of stuff, like people read all that stuff and can tell when you're lying and when you're not. Mm-hmm. I do that to my niece. I'm like, oh, she just looked down. It's like, I don't know, down and to the left or to the right one. And I'm like, you are not telling the truth.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't understand it. I mean, in this day and age with forensics and the digital capabilities that investigators have to nail you down within feet of a location, I've always, ever since we started covering this case last week, every day I'm like, this wasn't planned.
Yep.
I have a theory early on, and I'm gonna say it. I think Gannon was hurt the night before. I think she beat him.
By that video.
And yeah, because when I listened to that video of Gannon talking about when she's asking him, did you mean to spill a candle? We're going to have to move. You're going to get us kicked out. It was just so hard to listen to as she's gaslighting this kid. He sounded like he was in pain to me. That's not just like a cry. It sounded like he was just more than upset. So I think kind of my theory is maybe things got out of hand Sunday night and she hurt him enough to where she knew there would be repercussions legally. And I just don't think Gannon came home with her that day as much as I've thought about it. I think that she left and did what she did to him. And I don't think he ever came back home. I think that blood was in there from Sunday night. That's my opinion. I don't know, but putting it out there.
Could be.
So we were talking about her internet search history a little bit on the last episode. I think the one thing that we can determine is she was not happily married.
No, and it kind of all comes together. You see just all the pieces fitting together of she's not happy. She's keeping the kids, and the kids aren't hers.
Right.
So it's, you can see the pieces all coming.
And there were rumors about infidelity.
Yep.
So if in her mind she knows that there is something going on, she's going to be resentful to Al and the kids probably just by default. It kind of gets pushed onto the kids too, that resentment of he's out of town. I'm watching these kids who she doesn't love. Clearly she didn't love the kids. So I guess you get somebody that just has a capability and then you have what we have now.
Yeah. Yep.
But she was already researching moving before Gannon was murdered. So that goes to show you like the extremes that she was unhappy.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to look for apartments right near where his body was found in Florida. So, and then the last thing that I wanted to talk about was the fake polygraph. I just was thinking about that. How desperate to pay for a polygraph, because here's the thing. The police aren't going to take that and say, oh, great. All right. We trust you. Have a nice day. That was almost like, to me, more for the public.
It seems that all of this is, and I'm going to be honest, if I'm in jail for like murder, the last thing I'm going to be worried about is what other people think.
Right. But she had posted so much on social media before she was arrested, and posted the video of where we hear Gannon crying, posted the video of Gannon waving to the camera, and everybody jumped on her and said, look, that is not cool. And she says, well, maybe he's waving hello instead of goodbye. So she really, kind of asked for all of the online abuse. I mean, people online today are ruthless. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
The online community as a whole, it's like a wasteland. It's just fight to the death.
Yep.
But that's what happens when you're under suspicion and you start Facebook posting in an attempt, in my opinion, to get the kind of the suspicion off of you. All she did was just confirm what everybody thought.
Yeah. And we all want to look out for kids. Kids, like when you kill a child, everybody's up in arms about it. And I'm glad that's how it should be.
Right.
So people just want justice for these kids who are being murdered. And here again, we look, just divorce him.
Right.
Leave him.
Exactly. And the one thing that Letecia didn't know is that the online web sleuthing groups, the people that follow trials 24/7 all year long, these people are so amazing at being able to read people. And so what I find is when there are missing kids and I go onto certain websites and see what they're saying, because usually they're almost like professionals at identifying what's not true and what's bull.
Yeah.
And she didn't understand. I think maybe she thought in the back of her mind she'd go on there and be the, oh my gosh, I'm so worried. Poor stepmom, we're here for you. And it wasn't that.
Yep.
So it's almost like she tried harder to convince people and it just backfired.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of all I had for today. And you were going to talk about a letter.
Yeah, so Letecia wrote a letter to the judge, and this is in August. So she was arrested, March?
Yeah.
So this is in August. She writes a letter to the judge and claims a lot of different things that, I mean, we laughed at, and we don't laugh at things like, well, we do laugh at things, but when it's serious, but some of the things in here is just, it's rather comical. But so she writes this judge a letter, and she's claiming unfair process, that her rights as a U.S. citizen, that aren't being met. She claims she has expressed these concerns with her defense team, and they don't do anything. They hadn't told the judge about it. She says it's been 5 months and that she's only met with her defense team once, and that was in March. So, and she puts in here, I understand COVID, et cetera, et cetera. I'm telling you, these people think they're Lone Rangers. Like, everybody's going through the same thing.
Right, yeah.
She says she shouldn't be held unconstitutionally, denied access to her attorneys. She also says she's being abused, but that abuse is during transport. But during transport, because of her attack of the officer when she was being transported back to Colorado, when she leaves her cell, she is handcuffed and chained.
I mean, it's horrible that an accused murderer is shackled and handcuffed in jail.
Well, you should have thought about that.
Right, yeah.
So she's claiming her wrists are injured, et cetera, or whatever. She says she has no way to review videos or read reports that have to do with her case. She's claiming that she's not an active participant in her case. So I guess she's saying because of COVID, they're not allowed in certain areas, so she can't review things and all. She says, and here we go. I was like, oh, here we go. She claims the jail is listening to her conversations with her attorneys. That she knows because she's made some statements and the jail has acted upon what she said. So anyways, where have we heard that? But she claims she has no way to write anything down. She's always handcuffed. So she can't write because she's always chained.
It might not just, want to give somebody who attacked an officer a sharp pencil.
Exactly.
Call me crazy, but.
Exactly. She says that she will prove she's innocent. She does have a PI, is what she claims. She has a PI who will prove she's innocent. She claimed that she was a pillar in her community in South Carolina. And we just discussed a couple of things that may prove that's not true. She's a responsible citizen. This was where it got, a little bit. She claims someone's trying to poison her in jail. She has received threats in her peanut butter. So evidently somebody's sending her threats. And so anyways, you take that, you can digest that one, but
yeah, I mean,
she says she's having to drink Ensure because she won't eat the food because she's afraid it's poisoned or whatever.
I mean, but she shouldn't complain because Ensure gives you all the recommended calories for the day.
It does.
That's their little selling point.
Their little advertisement.
So she can't complain.
And we're not getting paid for that advertisement. So yeah, little plug for Ensure.
We just want to ensure you're getting your nutrients for the day.
Exactly. She says the PI will prove she's innocent. She also said that according to her private investigator, that El Paso doesn't even have jurisdiction over this case. I think it happened there.
Colorado Springs, El Paso County.
Yeah.
So I
don't know why they wouldn't.
Well, she's never. I mean, this PI has never, or air quote PI has never made any statements. Hey, I have found a lot of things that are going to clear this woman.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So she goes on to give this patriotic spiel about the flag and gives a history lesson about 1777. And that was like half a paragraph. she really tries to butter up the judge because she says like that he would hold up the integrity of the court and just kind of butter him up to listen to what she's saying. Where have we seen that? So she claims that her attorneys have refused to let the judge know about what's going on in jail.
Yeah. Maybe it's just that her attorneys, in this case, unlike some others we covered, don't want to take frivolous arguments into court.
Yeah. Don't want to look bad in front of the judge.
Right, yeah.
But you said you just read that, is she seeking another attorney or something?
Well, I just did read that maybe a few weeks ago she might have filed something. I didn't look at it hard.
Yeah.
But I mean, it seems like, she's going to be one of those that says, I need a new attorney, which all that is, I mean, it might not be her intention. It's going to delay things even more. That preliminary is next month.
Yeah.
So if she's granted new attorneys, then you're not going to get that preliminary next month.
Yeah.
So it could just be her way of stalling that, because she's going to look really bad. They're going to put things out that aren't known right now.
Yep.
So, just she has another month of trying to convince the public that her PI is going to clear her, when this probable cause hearing is going to, well, it's not that it's even believable, but it's going to solidify that she's screwed.
Yep. So she claims she's innocent and she's ready to return home and use her doctorate degree.
Okay.
In closing, she says she wants to put this past her, to forgive those who persecuted her, continue to be a soldier for Christ, repair her mental state, and most importantly, grieve.
Mm.
And then she throws in some scripture about Paul being in chains, etc., etc. And she asked the judge if there would be a way that he could let her know that that the letter, that he received the letter. So that was it in closing. I don't know.
It's amazing the similarities between her and Lori Vallow in a way. But it's also the similarities with Jodi Arias. There's a common theme with women killers.
Sure.
And I think, men, it's not like you really see the whole I'm a victim. It's just sort of lies most of the time covering up affairs like Chris Watts. And, you had all these like Scott Peterson. It's a lot of the big cases with men I remember kind of revolved around affairs. But with women, it's just I see this victim mentality. I just, when you have to do things in the dark, like it's not good,
right? Like it's shady.
Yeah.
But
those things always come to light.
Yeah.
And people that are guilty get caught. It amazes me that people these days think for a second that they're going to get away with murder. It's just, but I do think that this case, I don't think she planned this for a week. I think something got out of hand, and she was really terrible at lying and covering it up.
Yeah.
Thank goodness, because had they not found Gannon's body, they probably would have had enough for an arrest anyway. I mean, it happens. It's always better to have a body, but
yeah.
It seems like what they've got against her is really super solid. You said they found blood on her shoe.
Yeah, I was reading that in the affidavit.
Yeah.
In her 8.5 size Nike.
We were the same shoe size.
They found blood on the outside of the shoe, and then they had DNA inside the shoe that said it was her shoe. So
yeah. Well, we're just still getting a grip on this case, and you guys, if you've listened with Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell, we definitely started that one when this all came to the news. So we're just playing catch up. And like I say, it's really hard to kind of scroll back through news articles and interviews and everything else. But
there's a lot.
There's so much. And then, like we said earlier, rumor from fact, just, we're trying to reach out to people we know that have followed the case a lot longer, just to clarify, because we don't want to be putting false stuff out here, especially because you guys know the case and we don't. So it's like, you're going to be
and
listening.
You will let us know.
And you guys are going to be listening and saying, they don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know nothing.
So, but the thing with this case, as with Vallow, is that we've already kind of gotten the facts already, at this point. And so I think the biggest part's going to be next month, the preliminary. But I think maybe in the next few weeks, we're going to add on that that Rodin murder in Ohio, because there are some hearings coming up throughout this year. But, you know, it's almost like with this case, everything was so, it just seemed so open and shut with her guilt that, I mean, there's just not a lot that's been released past what we've already talked about.
Yeah. And there's a ton of rumors.
Yeah.
About who was involved or whatever. But
we've already found... We've already found a couple that we were like, whoa, that's big information. And then 5 minutes later, we find out it was totally just threw out there with no proof.
Yeah.
So for us, if there's something about this case that you want us to look into more, you know, on a more deep level, let us know on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever.
Yeah.
Just because there are things about this case we don't know. And if you guys know an area that would be super interesting for us to look into, we would love for you guys to let us know.
Yep.
And I think on the next ones, we're going to start doing like little mini news sessions, kind of like hot topics, where we're going to take some smaller cases that maybe don't have the publicity that the ones we've covered had, but just to kind of break up these shows to where there's a little bit more content above what we're the bulk of what we're talking about.
Yep.
So we're just switching things up. We're testing things. We've been with you guys since June of last year. But we're still, you know, just revamping as we go. So let us know what you guys want, because we're here to please.
Yep.
We love y'all.
So who are you picking in the Super Bowl?
I want to see Kansas City get it. I'm just not a Tom Brady fan. He's had his time.
I like Tom Brady, though. He went to a team who hadn't won, and they're now in the Super Bowl. So I'm good with either or. As long as New England wasn't there, I was good with it. Sorry, New England people.
Yeah, I just like Mahomes. He's such a solid athlete.
But you know, he was injured. He had a concussion. So
yeah,
we'll see. Surely he's recovered and good to go. But I like both. So
yeah,
either one. I really don't care.
Yeah,
I'm just want to eat.
I'm not a big NFL person. I am a huge Clemson Tigers fan. I was raised on the Tigers. My grandpa and I watched every game together until he died, which he chose to die the day before we won the national championship since the 80s. He checked out at the worst time ever. But I follow Clemson, and that's about it. I don't really care about the NFL, but I do like watching Mahomes. He's just... And Joe Burrow. He's amazing.
You know, you are just... wanting to watch the halftime shows, all it is.
Shoot. Now, I don't
and
even
the
know
commercials.
The commercials are always great, but I don't even know who's performing this year at halftime.
I don't either. But the Clydesdales are not performing. I mean, they're not having a commercial in the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, I think they ended up and gave that money to COVID relief
something
or something
like that.
Which
Yeah.
is, you know, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I just miss it because they're always so good.
They are. They always have the best commercials. But, well, guys, we will see you on Wednesday unless there is more to come out. I'm still waiting on some charges for Tammy Daybell.
Yep.
I think sooner than later. So if anything progresses in that case, we'll hop on.
Turn your East Idaho News alerts on.
Oh, yeah. Apparently, I know everything happening in that city.
Yeah,
couldn't
they have
tell
a
you what's
lot of stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you what's happening here, but I get their alerts for anything having to do with the case. So,
yep.
You know, anytime I see East Idaho News, I'm hopeful that it's maybe something with the case, and it's like, you know, there's an elk herd on, a herd of elk on the highway.
Yeah, those are large though.
Oh no,
elk herds, they're huge.
Do you remember when the elk was running around my neighborhood and like I took a picture and found out way later that those things can tear you up with their horns?
Oh yeah.
So I'm doing a selfie with this big wild elk, and somebody was like, "Yeah, you know how close you were to like getting maimed."
Yeah, they don't play.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to jump off because we will sit here and do stupid conversations about random things for 30 more minutes.
Yeah, that'd be a good show. Random thoughts.
Oh, God. Yeah. No, that'd be dangerous. We can't let people into our private conversations. They would so judge us.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you have a good Sunday night, and we will see you Wednesday.
Go Bucks.